Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Abhishek Mahajan, coming up in the next 30 minutes. Prime Minister Narendra Modi highlights India's transformation into a hub of digital innovation, tech-led governance and global trust, says India tech journey over the last 11 years is nothing short of revolutionary. UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer snubs Yunus during London visit, refuses to meet Bangladesh chief advisor. Los Angeles and other cities across the U.S. witnessed protests. Over 400 people arrested, including 330 undocumented migrants. Raids continue in Omaha, detaining dozens. Deal done to get U.S. China trade truce back on track. Trump says U.S. tariffs will be set at 55%, China's at 10%. U.S. to pull out personnel from West Asia over security threats from Iran. U.S. envoy Witkoff to meet Iran's foreign minister on Sunday. Prime Minister Modi-led government has completed 11 years in office. Up next, we revisit government initiatives in revolutionizing India's digital prowess. In the last 11 years, under the leadership of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, India has made remarkable progress towards a digitally empowered society and knowledge-based economy. The country has not only brought internet to remote villages, but has also revolutionized the delivery of public services through digital platforms. So let's know how the digital revolution has played an important role in bridging the gap between urban and rural areas in the last 11 years. A revolution where technology meets inclusion. Under Prime Minister Narendra Modi's vision of Digital India, initiatives like UPI, DBT are bridging gaps, boosting transparency and bringing governance closer to every citizen, right down to the last mile. Prime Minister Modi asserted that powered by the youth of India, we are making remarkable progress in innovation and application of technology. It is also strengthening our efforts to become self-reliant and a global tech powerhouse. Over 17,000 crore UPI transactions have been recorded in just 1 year. Today, India accounts for 49% of global real-time digital payments, a testament to the power of Digital India initiative. Besides, government's program of providing unique identification number or Aadhaar is powering India's digital identity revolution. With over 150 billion authentication transactions, Aadhaar stands as the world's largest digital ID program, empowering 141 crore Indians with a unique 12-digit identity. Also developed under Prime Minister Narendra Modi's Digital India is the flagship initiative of DigiLocker. It is now the world's largest DigiLocker with over 52 plus crore registered users, enabling citizens to access documents anytime, anywhere. The initiative towards paperless governance, DigiLocker aims at digital empowerment of citizens by providing access to authentic digital documents to citizens' digital document wallet. Apart from DigiLocker, government is also empowering pensioners with seamless digital services. Ayushman Bharat Digital Mission is another revolutionizing government's initiative towards healthcare. With over 78 plus crore Ayushman Bharat health accounts, 55 plus crore health records linked, and 6.4 lakh plus verified professionals, the Ayushman Bharat digital mission is unifying healthcare across India, making it smarter, safer, and more accessible for all. Government's Pradhan Mantri Gramin Digital Saksharta Abhiyan is also bridging the digital divide in rural India with the world's largest digital literacy program. Over 7.35 crore candidates registered and over 6.3 crore candidates have been trained. India is undergoing a remarkable transformation in artificial intelligence, driven by the visionary leadership of Prime Minister Modi. From setting up AI centers of excellence in premier institutes to developing indigenous models like Bharat Gen, Sarvam 1, Chitralekha, and Everest 1.0, India is making bold strides in the world of AI. Bureau Report, DD India. And in the past 10 years, the Indian Space Research Organization has launched a total of 393 foreign satellites on a commercial basis, with in space boosting private participation and the bold vision to establish the Bharat Antariksh Station by 2035. The future of Indian space exploration is self-reliant, ambitious, and truly global. And Semiconductor India mission is fostering indigenous design, attracting 100% FDI, and has approved 6 massive units worth rupees 1.55 lakh crore. Well, shifting focus, India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar paid an official visit to Brussels from 9th to 11th June. During the visit, the minister spoke at the German Marshall Fund Brussels Forum 2025, where he highlighted the importance of India's relationship with the European Union. Dr. Jaishankar stated that India gives pretty high priority to its relations with the EU, highlighting the growing interest in Europe over the past decade. Dr. Jaishankar expressed optimism about the India-EU free trade agreement, saying that discussions have been positive and that the agreement is within sight of being finalized by the end of the year.
Really looking at deepening our ties. So the centerpiece is the FTA, of course, which has been under negotiation for some time now. But everything that I heard, including this morning from Commissioner Shevchovich, was very positive. A lot has been done, and everything that I heard on this trip gives me the confidence that it's within sight, yes, that by the end of the year it is feasible to do this.
And while speaking at GMF Brussels Forum 2025, External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar said that there is a complex equilibrium in the world as India and China have risen to power, and these countries also happen to be neighbors.
Situation where China and India, who are who stand out because they're the only two countries with over 1 billion people, but also because they are two civilizational states in a way. They have, you see a kind of a parallel rise. The Chinese started their modernization ahead of us because I think we had at that time governments perhaps who didn't do what they should have done in those early years. But be that as it may, you have a rise of China, you have a rise of India. Sure. Now each one is creating a certain new equilibrium between them and the world, the rising power in the world. And then a much more complex equilibrium between the two rising powers, who also happen to be neighbors and who sometimes have common neighbors as well.
And Dr. Jaishankar also addressed India's neutral stance on the Russia and Ukraine conflict, which has drawn criticism from the EU for not taking a definitive side. He said that they don't believe that differences can be resolved through war. He explained, emphasizing India's historical grievances and the need for countries to consider their own experiences and interests.
I've felt from the start that even if two countries, two neighbors have differences, even very deep differences, it cannot be settled by recourse to war. Okay. If war has started, you're not going to get, given the situation, you're not going to get a solution out of the battlefield. If you're not going to get a solution out of the battlefield, then the answer is to negotiate. And if you are going to negotiate, it makes sense to negotiate directly rather than through very convoluted signaling.
Sure.
So that's been our position.
And when questioned about whether India trusts U.S. President Donald Trump, Dr. Jaishankar responded with a diplomatic yet pragmatic stance. He said that I take the world as I find it. He further added that the aim is to advance every relationship that serves India's interests, and the U.S. relationship is of immense importance.
We do see today that Europe has a distinct position on many issues. Those are not necessarily the positions shared today in the United States. So that's a reality. Now, as a country which is, we are objective about it. We value our relations with US as we do with the EU. We will deal with each one on terms which are best for both of us.
And India's Commerce and Industry Minister Piyush Goyal has invited Swedish business leaders to explore opportunities in India, highlighting the country's complementary strengths and potential for growth through the India-EU Free Trade Agreement. After arriving in Sweden after concluding his successful trip to Switzerland, the minister engaged in a series of meetings with counterpart and businesses leaders. At the highly productive meeting, the leaders discussed strengthening collaboration across sectors like clean energy, digital technology, climate, healthcare and life sciences and skill development, among others. Piyush Goyal also addressed the concluding session at the ministerial meeting of the Indo-Swedish Joint Commission for Economic, Industrial and Scientific Cooperation. He highlighted how the exchange of capital, talent and technology forms the backbone of our economic partnership, with science, innovation and technology remaining one of the most dynamic areas of cooperation. The Indian minister also engaged with Swedish business leaders at a dinner reception hosted by Sweden-India Business Council and Embassy of India. He emphasized the remarkable progress India has made in technology, innovation and R&D, backed by the strength of our skilled and talented workforce. Piyush Goyal encouraged Swedish businesses to explore opportunities in India with immense potential to collaborate and drive mutual growth.
Invite Sweden and Swedish businesses, Swedish investors to be an integral part of this growth story. We already have a big presence of 280 Swedish companies in India, most of them manufacturing in India. But I do believe the sky is the limit. There's huge potential awaiting all of us.
And with an aim to reinforce cooperation in the Indo-Pacific, Secretary of India's Ministry of External Affairs, P. Kumaran, met. He is on Malaysia visit. On the sidelines of the East Asia Summit, senior officials meeting. The Indian leader met his counterpart Graham Morton in Penang. The leaders discussed bilateral and regional issues of mutual interest, reinforcing cooperation in Indo-Pacific. India's firm stand on regional security was once again reiterated. Secretary Kumaran further emphasized the importance of ASEAN-led mechanisms in fostering trust and stability. He sharply expressed India's concerns over state-sponsored terrorism following the Pahalgam attack and highlighted India's measured response in Operation Sindoor. And India gears up to celebrate a decade of global yoga awareness with renewed vigor and vision. The 10th International Day of Yoga will be observed on June 21st with the theme Yoga for One Earth, One Health, echoing the interconnectedness of individual well-being and planetary health. Minister of State for Ayush and Health and Family Welfare, Pratap Rao Jadhav, addressed the curtain-raiser press conference at the National Media Centre, New Delhi. He announced that this year's national event will be held in Visakhapatnam, where Prime Minister Modi will lead the celebrations. The government of Andhra Pradesh is actively contributing to make the event a grand success. Over the last decade, International Day of Yoga has grown into a mass movement for health, encouraging people across caste, creed, religion and borders to embrace yoga for holistic well-being. From easing physical ailments to reducing mental stress, the practice of yoga continues to promote peace and resilience in the modern world. All right, we'll go across to DD India's Kriti Vadera. She is joining us on the phone line. In Kriti, India gears up to celebrate a decade of global yoga awareness with renewed vigor and vision. Tell us the significance of this year's Yoga Day and what all has been planned.
Well, good afternoon, Abhishek. And yes, you rightly said, to commemorate the 10th year and the entire journey of International Day of Yoga, the Ministry of Ayush and Health has again launched 10 signature track events all across the nation. And this will be embracing the whole government approach towards this mega event, 21st of January. And as it is told to the media in the press brief, just in a short while which we had from the Minister of Ayush and Minister of State of Health, and he briefed the media about the upcoming event in which Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be participating from Visakhapatnam and addressing the nation on 21st June on International Day of Yoga. It's going to be a big event in Visakhapatnam for which Andhra Pradesh government is preparing, and this year more than 60 nations all across the globe will be participating in this mega event of International Day of Yoga, and around 130 plus global events will be held for this International Day, and it's going to be a massive event, I'll say, globally, and further amplifying its global reach. As I said, more than 30 international events will be taking place all across the globe. And 21st June is approaching, and with that, India is showing that India has strengthening bonds in fostering global harmony and promoting healthier, more peaceful planet through yoga. And yoga has been in India's tradition through ages, right from the Vedic times. And this year also, India is showing a decade-long journey of contributing to yoga globally. So with all this media brief was concluded by Ministry of Ayush, telling us that how they are preparing for the upcoming event.
Absolutely. 10th International Day of Yoga will be observed on June 21st with the theme Yoga for One Earth, One Health. We'll leave it at that. Thank you for your inputs, Kriti. We are slipping into a very short break. On the other side, more stories. Keep watching DD India Live.
Can the U.S. launch a bombing campaign against Iran? The Philippines vessel suffered structural damage. The saga of child sexual abuse is the United States China's debt trap strategy. Truth is stranger than fiction. But sometimes hard to uncover. Trust us to tell the truth, unadulterated and pure, of every story that matters to you.
And remember to save your country.
You read between the lines, cut the clutter, and connect the dots to get you the full picture. Watch Connecting the Dots at these times with me, only on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India Live. I'm Abhishek Mahajan. Some more stories. The UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer turned down a request to meet Chief Advisor of Bangladesh, Mohammed Yunus, during his visit to London, aimed at raising support for efforts to recover billions of dollars siphoned off by the deposed regime of Sheikh Hasina, as per reports. Yunus told the British Delhi that the UK should feel morally obliged to help his government track down funds stolen by the Awami League-led regime, much of it allegedly now in the UK. UK government officials confirmed to a national daily that there was no plan for Starmer to meet Yunus at present and declined to comment further. As per the reports, Yunus went to UK on Tuesday for 4 days official visit, where he is likely to meet acting chairman of Bangladesh Nationalist Party Tariq Rahman on Friday. And the protests against Donald Trump's harsh immigration policy spread on Wednesday across the United States despite a military-backed crackdown in Los Angeles and threats by the U.S. president to use heavy force as cities across the U.S. witnessing protest. In Los Angeles, nearly 400 people have so far been arrested, including 330 undocumented migrants and 157 people arrested for assault and obstruction, including one for the attempted murder of a police officer. Two Los Angeles countrymen have been charged by federal authorities with possessing Molotov cocktails during recent immigration enforcement demonstrations in downtown Los Angeles and Paramount.
Cases we have been able to charge now, we are looking at hundreds of people. We have video, we have FBI collecting video, we are collecting body cam, we're collecting social media, we're collecting everything. And we're going to take our time, we're going to identify people. They think the mask is saving them, it's not saving them. We're going to identify them and we will bring charges. We will bring charges for attacks on local law enforcement. We have a federal statute for that. In a time of civil unrest, we can charge them with a federal statute.
Moving further, U.S. President Donald Trump has announced that the tariffs on Chinese goods will be reduced to 55% under a new trade agreement. With this decision, the U.S. and China have called a truce in the ongoing trade row. The deal includes a provision in which China will supply the U.S. with rare earth elements vital to major U.S. companies. The deal also removes Chinese export restrictions on rare earth minerals and allows Chinese students access to U.S. universities. Under the latest agreement, the U.S. will impose 55% tariffs across the board on Chinese goods, down from 145%. In return, Beijing will impose a 10% tariff on goods it imports from the U.S., down from 125%. Trump said a final deal is subject to approval from him and Chinese President Xi Jinping.
I don't think we're going to have that necessity. We made a great deal with China. We're very happy with it. We have everything we need, and we're going to do very well with it, and hopefully they are too.
U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent called on China to uphold its commitments under an initial U.S. trade agreement reached in Geneva last month, hours after he and other U.S. and Chinese officials agreed on a new framework to implement the deal. Wednesday's announcement from Trump comes after a series of marathon negotiations were held between the U.S. and China in London. Now, Iran's defense minister has said his country would target U.S. military bases in the region if conflict breaks out with the United States days ahead of a planned sixth round of Iran-U.S. nuclear talks. Defense Minister Aziz Nasirzadeh said on Wednesday that Iran would target U.S. military bases in the region if the U.S. attacked it first. Washington and Tehran have held 5 rounds of talks since April as Trump seeks an agreement that would place constraints on Iran's uranium enrichment. Trump has repeatedly threatened Iran with bombing if it does not reach a new nuclear deal. The next round of talks is due this week, with Trump saying negotiations would be held on Thursday, while Tehran says they will take place on Sunday in Oman. Iran is expected to hand a counter-proposal to a previous U.S. offer for a nuclear deal it rejected, with Trump saying that Iran was becoming much more aggressive in nuclear talks. The United States is preparing partial evacuation of its Iraqi embassy and will allow military dependents to leave locations around the Middle East due to heightened security risk in the region. U.S. President Donald Trump said U.S. personnel were being moved out of the Middle East because it could be a dangerous place, adding that the United States would not allow Iran to have a nuclear weapon. A U.S. official said the State Department had authorized voluntary departures from Bahrain and Kuwait. The State Department updated its worldwide travel advisory on Wednesday evening to reflect the latest U.S. posture. The decision by the U.S. to evacuate some personnel comes at a volatile moment in the region. A fast-moving wildfire near a Canadian town outside Vancouver has intensified, with helicopter battling fierce flames above dense forest land. The fire has engulfed approximately thousands of hectares as the blaze continues to spread rapidly due to dry conditions, high winds and unseasonably warm temperatures. Emergency officials have issued evacuation orders and alerts for several nearby communities, warning residents to be prepared to leave at short notice. Several roads have been closed and firefighting crews from neighboring provinces have been deployed to reinforce local response teams. The death toll from floods in South Africa's Eastern Cape province has risen to 49. Parts of South Africa have been lashed by heavy rain and snow since the weekend in a severe winter cold front that has disrupted transport and power networks. Flooding has become more severe in South Africa as the impacts of climate change are felt. Massive fire erupts at motorcycle parking lot in Chongqing, China. A large number of motorcycles and electric vehicles exploded in flames with thick black smoke billowing at the scene. This incident highlights the growing concern over the safety of electric vehicles, particularly e-bikes, which have been involved in numerous fires across China, though the cause of the fire remains under investigation. Sports now. Summer McIntosh bagged her third world record in days after clocking 4 minutes and 23.65 seconds to better her own 400 medley record at the Canadian swimming trials in Victoria. The 18-year-old Canadian prodigy's blistering time beat her old mark of 4 minutes and 24.38 seconds set in Toronto in May last year at the Canadian Olympic trials. McIntosh's assault on her own world record got off to a smooth start, with the teenager completing the opening butterfly leg in world record pace. The three-time Olympic gold medalist laid down an impressive marker ahead of next month's World Championships in Singapore with a dominant performance. Well, that's all we have in this edition of DD India Live. Do let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS. Scan the QR code on the screen to download now. And we'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Abhishek Mahajan. From all of us here in Delhi, thanks for watching DD India Live.